So I'm getting a message for someone who thought they were going to be with someone, like they wanted to be with that person more than anything else. I think if you're getting this message, you're almost definitely a witch, or very spiritual. You really wanted to be with someone, and they were like on their way to you in some way, shape, or form, and coming up against a lot of challenges, but some of them were not really challenges. Like they got to a point where there was laziness. This is a really weird reading the way it came through. It's like blending a lot of mythology and it's like touching on current events. But it's like kind of the feeling that I get overall is if and when this person makes their way back to you, they're gonna try and like sell you this story that they were like faced with all these grave perils. But one of the things that came through when I was doing this reading is the portion of the Odyssey, Homer's The Odyssey, when Odysseus gets trapped on an island with Circe for a year, which really what was happening is that he was genuinely trapped at first, right? Circe was an enchantress. She cast spells on him. Yeah, she was doing spell work to... Oh my god, I just realized I'm not wearing my ring. Sorry. She was doing spell work to like prevent him from getting back home to his wife. But then once he found out that she was doing that, he was like, oh, but I'm so comfortable here. Like, Circe is, living like a queen, and she's like fucking me, like bathing me, and like I'm like weighted on hand and foot. I don't want to go home. And so that is like a very big part of this message, unfortunately. And actually, a big, like, if you're watching this, I'm sure you are represented by like the wife that he was trying to get home to, and by the song Rhiannon that came through. But actually, an important message overall is like, ultimately, the fact that this person chose to stay away from you when they could have come back sooner is an indictment of their character. And ultimately, not only were they distracted, but they were distracting you from your higher purpose that you couldn't see when you were so focused on, the future that you could have had with them. So, yeah, so Rhiannon by Fleetwood Mac came through. I like verified that was part of the message, because when I just hear a song, sometimes I'm like, am I just hearing this song though? And it really is, and it actually makes a lot of sense now, because there's this line, would you stay if she promised you heaven? Will you ever win? And I looked at that line and like looked into the meaning of it more, and I found out that actually Rhiannon was, I forget if she was like a goddess or a witch, but she was a powerful being, and she had like heaven on earth, right? So would you stay if she promised you heaven? But she was in love with a mortal man, and if she had decided to be with that man, she would have actually given up her power. So it's like, would you stay if she promised you heaven? Will you ever win? First of all, this is like a double meaning, because Circe was also like promising Odysseus heaven. She was like, oh, let me fuck you, let me bathe you, like waiting on him hand and foot, like making him too comfortable. But also, I think that if you're getting this message, it's important for you to understand that like this person was actually more of an obstacle to you than you realized. And if you were to be with them, that it actually, like, at least at this time, I don't know, like this, obviously the details of the situation are not going to be same person to person, right? But I get the feeling that you were actually not supposed to be with this person, because they ultimately were just too much of a distraction from like the life that you really have been building for yourself. Because it's like this person exposed their own character. It's like, okay, so Circe and Odysseus came through, just kind of like, flash of insight sort of a thing, When I like put the cards back in the deck already, I think. When I pulled the Two of Pentacles from this deck, and this is like a very unique deck in terms of imagery, so I always really look at the images that I pull. And so when I looked at the Two of Pentacles, I just like, I heard the song 99 Red Balloons because of the way like the orbs were floating in the air. And this is so weird, this is so convoluted, but it's like 99 Red Balloons is actually an anti-war anthem, and it's about how someone chose a war option. Like it's like this alternative reality that this song is based around, where someone flew balloons over the Berlin Wall, but because like people saw things in the sky over the Berlin Wall, they got paranoid, thought it were missiles, and then they started launching missiles, which started World War III, which feels like a very specific tie-in to current events, you know what I mean? But there's layers to how this applies to you, and it's like some of these are like more on a grand scale, but I feel like part of the message is saying you were not paying enough attention to what was going on a grand scale because your mind was so focused on this person. And that's like part of what you're being called to do, is like focus on how you can serve the world and not just the future between you and like one specific person. Yeah, but I also felt like there was something about like spiritual warfare. So like with Circe and Odysseus, you could argue that that's spiritual warfare. Like she put enchantments on him. But again, it's like to an extent, because then at some point Odysseus was just like, but I like it here. Lazy. So he was like lost and enchanted, and then he was like, I'm having a good time. What if I just like don't leave? What if I don't go home to my wife? What if I just stay here and be a slut? Pathetic. Anyways, so, but yeah, there is like an element of spiritual warfare aspected, but it's almost like, I feel like the way that this actually manifested for you is that you had a really strong bond with someone, and there were a lot of obstacles standing in the way of you and this person, and ultimately the thing that kept them away from you, or that's like still keeping them away from you, is their own laziness, is their own bad decision. They chose an option that created war. So I feel like there also might be something about you and this person having been in spiritual warfare with each other. So it's like they made things a lot worse with their poor decisions, with their laziness, with their silliness, which is like not to like poo-poo on anyone's libido, but like Circe and Odysseus, like that's the most pathetic shit of my life. Like I always said to myself, if my husband got lost on the way home and one of the stops was a bitch he was fucking for a year, when I thought he was dead, that would not be my husband anymore. So do with this what you will, you know what I mean? Like, but like it's important. I feel like an important part of this message is that you understand this person was actually ultimately just lazy and complacent. Like this was ultimately their choice. Also somebody that I used to know, that song by Gautier came through. So like I feel like what this really looked like is this person just like ghosted you and blew you off. And it's like they're gonna come around and try and tell you it was this epic thing, and it's like, nobody, you fucking ghosted me. Like you're a loser. You cheated, you ghosted, whatever the specific details how this actually manifested and played out for you. It's like, no, don't try to sell me that. Don't. Oh, she trapped me on her island. Oh, bitch. It's like really pathetic. Yeah, like that. And it's like this happened because this person got too cocky. Like they were like, you know, I feel like they were killing the game in some respects at first, getting through those obstacles, and then they got to an obstacle where they had an option. They really had an option. They really had a choice. And they were like, oh, this easy choice is so comfortable. And that's when they fucked up. So, yeah, I feel like you're being called to recognize that you are better off with this person. Hold on, I'm gonna have more time. Because again, it's important that you understand that this is indicative of this person's character. Like, this was not a mistake. a year on an island, Odysseus, that's not a mistake. You know, ghosting someone is not a mistake. Especially, like, it's not even just, like, even if you weren't actually married to this person or, like, there were no formal commitments, it's like, this person was supposed to be coming back to you and you were waiting for them and you were like worried, thought that they were dead, thought that like you imagined something perhaps for some of you. It's like, for some of you, this person may have been like gaslighting your intuition, been like, what do you mean? I didn't say that. I changed my mind. I don't want to be with you. Me. And it's like they're actually just complacent because they chose to be. And so, yeah, you're basically being called to recognize that you deserve better and that, like, at least right now, you have a higher purpose, you have a higher calling. Now, am I saying be celibate because this person is not with you? No. No, I'm not saying that. In fact, like, okay, if you are considering still being with this person ultimately, which I wouldn't, but if you were considering being with this person still ultimately, after they did this, I would say, because in the Odyssey, Penelope, Odysseus's wife, has many other suitors, and she keeps turning them away, even though it's been a decade, because she's loyal to a fault. She keeps turning them away because she's like, oh, my husband, my husband. Let's just put it this way. Entertain the suitors. Exhaust your options. When that man comes running back going, oh no, I was kept away from you, it was so horrible, it was so horrible. Just remember, he was really fucking some other bitch. Don't let him lie to you. And, just take your time to think about it at least, right? Just take your time to sit there and go, I don't know, I think I can do better. Because, like, I do not care how much you think you wanted this person. They are, like, an impediment to your well-being, even if it doesn't feel like that when you're around them. And it's like, I feel like there's, like, for someone here, you need to understand that this person was getting you high. You know, like, you can be high on sex and, like, attachment to another person. Like, this was not healthy. This person was distracting you from connecting to your intuition. This person was distracting you from connecting to like your potential. Like, and I feel like it is really especially like spiritual potential, and especially with the conflict in the world right now, it's like, if you are a witch and you have those powers, you need to be turning them towards the war effort. Seriously, you actually do it. There are many ways that you can do that. But yeah, this person is a waste of your time. And also, if someone did that and took their sweet time getting back to you because they were lazy and complacent, if they still want to be with you and they don't understand that you would rather entertain your other options first, then they're a punk. Fuck them. You cannot go fuck some other bitch on an island for a year and then come home and be like, oh, yes, you've been loyal to me. I'm just going to hop back in bed with you. No, the fuck you are not. You know, like, again, I wouldn't even do that. I would be like, husband, what husband? You're dead to me. Dead ass. But if you're considering that, it could actually be a good litmus test of this person's loyalty and their willingness to see like their like accountability and their part in this. Because if they were exhausting their other options, no matter what they say about how seriously they were taking it, about let's just sex me, if they were keeping you waiting, they can wait. And if they don't think they should have to wait, again, that says a lot about their character. So let this person repeatedly expose their character. And if they're going to continue to be a lazy asshole, good riddance. All right. Hope this helps someone. I know this was a weird one. Yeah.